So, diving right into it, let's talk about active vocabulary acquisition. Now, you're probably wondering, what's that all about? Well, it's an essential part of enhancing our communication skills. It's not just about learning new words, but understanding how to use them in the right context to express ourselves more clearly and articulately. Oh, the power of words, right? Think of it this way. The more words you know, the more colors you have to paint a picture with your language. And who doesn't want a vibrant, colorful conversation? But here's the thing. It's not just about passively reading or hearing new words. Active vocabulary acquisition is a process where you consciously make an effort to learn and remember new words. You actively seek them out, use them in sentences, understand their meanings, and recognize their usage in different situations. Now, why is this important? Well, let's put it this way. Imagine you're trying to explain a complex thought or idea, but you just can't find the right words. Frustrating, right? By actively expanding your vocabulary, you can avoid these situations, express your thoughts more clearly, and understand others better too. So, in a nutshell, active vocabulary acquisition is like a secret weapon for better communication skills. It broadens your language horizons, helps articulate thoughts better, and even boosts your confidence when speaking or writing in English. So, let's start adding more colors to our language palette. Stay tuned for some effective strategies to do just that. All right, let's jump into the next part of this journey. The various techniques and strategies for effectively learning and remembering new English words and phrases. Now, it's one thing to learn a word, but an entirely different beast to remember and use it, right? There are a whole host of techniques out there to help with this. The first is called spaced repetition. This involves reviewing words at increasing intervals over time. For example, you might review a new word a few minutes after learning it, then a few hours later, then a day later, and so on. This method really taps into how our brains are wired and helps to move those new words from your short-term memory into your long-term memory. Another strategy is to use flashcards. Just write the card on one side of the card and its meaning on the other. You can flip through these cards whenever you have a spare moment. It's a simple yet effective method for reinforcing your memory. But here's a technique I particularly love. Using the new words in sentences. And see, it's not just about knowing what a word means, but understanding how to use it. So, when you learn a new word, try to create your own sentences with it. This not only helps you remember the word, but also familiarizes you with its usage. And let's not forget about the good old word of the day strategy. Make it a habit to learn a new word every day and use it in your conversations. That's 365 new words in a year.
Remember though, these techniques aren't one size fits all.
What works for one person might not work for another. Experiment with different methods. Mix and match them. See what works best for you. The key here is consistency and regular practice. So let's turn those word learning woes into word learning wins. Stay tuned for tips on using context clues and word roots to infer meanings of unfamiliar words. Moving on, let's delve into the art of using context clues, word roots, prefixes, and suffixes to infer the meaning of unfamiliar words and expand our vocabulary. Imagine you're reading a book and you come across a word you've never seen before. Do you stop reading and look it up? Or you could, but there's another method you could try, using context clues. These are hints in the sentences around the unfamiliar word that can help you figure out its meaning. It's like being a word detective, interpreting the clues to solve the mystery. The beauty of language, right? Now, let's talk about word roots, prefixes, and suffixes. These can be incredibly helpful in decoding the meaning of unfamiliar words. Word roots are the base part of a word from which other words grow, usually through the addition of prefixes and suffixes. For example, the word unhappiness. Happy is the root word. Un is a prefix meaning not. And ness is a suffix meaning state of. So, unhappiness means the state of not being happy. Learning common prefixes and suffixes can really help you expand your vocabulary. You'll start to see patterns and connections between words, and it becomes like a fun word puzzle. Now, this might sound a little overwhelming at first, but trust me, with practice, you will get the hang of it. It's like learning to read a new language within English itself, one that opens up an entirely new world of words to you. So, grab your detective hat, and let's dive into the world of words. Stay tuned for how to use resources like dictionaries and online tools for word definitions, synonyms, and antonyms. Let's now navigate through the sea of resources available to us for finding word definitions, synonyms, and antonyms. In this digital age, you're never more than a few clicks away from a wealth of knowledge, and the journey to expanding your vocabulary power is no exception. First up, the time-honored dictionary. Yes, the good old dictionary, whether it's a hefty book or an online version, is your best friend in this journey. It not only provides you with definitions, but also gives you examples of how words are used in sentences, their pronunciation, and sometimes even their origin. But there's a catch. Picture this. You found the meaning of a new word. Great. But now you want to know more words that have the same or opposite meaning. That's where a thesaurus comes in handy. A thesaurus is like a treasure trove of synonyms and antonyms, helping you discover new words and expand your vocabulary.
And let's not forget the plethora of online tools and apps designed to make vocabulary building fun and interactive.
Websites like vocabulary.com, apps like Memrise, or even browser extensions that show you the definition of any word you come across online. These resources can be incredibly beneficial in your vocabulary expansion journey. But remember, it's not about how many resources you use, but how effectively you use them. So whether you're a fan of the old school dictionary or the modern online tools, make sure to use them regularly and incorporate what you learn into your everyday speaking and writing. Well, that sums up our exploration of resources. Up next, we'll talk about practical exercises to solidify your understanding and retention of new words. Stay tuned. All right, we've come a long way, and now it's time to bring it all together with the final step, practicing using new words in writing and speaking exercises. Because, let's face it, it's not enough to just learn new words. We have to actually use them to really make them stick, right? Writing exercises are a fantastic way to start. Try to write a few sentences or a short paragraph using the new words you've learned. This could be in a personal journal, an email, or even a social media post. The goal here is to get comfortable with using these words in your own sentences. And then they're speaking. This is where the rubber really meets the road. Try to incorporate the new words into your everyday conversations. Yes, it might feel a bit strange at first, and you might even stumble a bit. But hey, that's all part of the process. Remember, practice makes perfect. Here's a fun idea. Why not play a game of word of the day? Challenge yourself to use your new word in conversation as much as possible throughout the day. It's a fun and effective way to enhance word retention. Another great tool for practicing speaking is language exchange platforms, where you can connect with English speakers from around the world. You can even start a study group with friends where you share and discuss new words. But remember, the key here is consistency. Make these practices a part of your daily routine, and before you know it, these new words will become a natural part of your vocabulary. So let's put those words into action and watch as our English word power expands. And with that, we've covered all of our bases. Remember, every word is a new opportunity to express yourself more effectively. Happy word hunting.